from it. Destiny arrives all the same. The road to Madison starts in Austin. Welcome everybody to the Lone Star State where, yes, everything is indeed bigger in Texas, and we have a huge matchup for you tonight as we announce 20.1 to get the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games season underway. Thanks for being with us here, everybody, in Austin, Texas. I'm Sean Woodland with Margot Alvarez and Chase Ingram. Dan Bailey will be around here in just a little bit, but if you're just joining us, first of all, shame on you. That's why Dan isn't here. He's off crying because he's been insulted. But we have one big announcement coming up. We have already heard another big announcement, and that is the confirmation that Scott Panchik will indeed be the fourth and final member of CrossFit Mayhem Freedom for the 2020 season. Talked about it earlier, but again, like, what hope do other teams have now that this is official?
I'm changing Scott's name from Panchik to Paycheck.
Okay.
I think it's going to be really hard for any other team to come in and take that spot away from Mayhem. They lost a minute on the swim paddle event by losing Dre, but by bringing in Scott, they have years of experience, consistency at the top that's just going to add to Team Mayhem, and I think it's going to be really hard for any other team to come in and beat them.
I'll take a minute loss in the swim to an 8-time CrossFit Games individual athlete that's been in the top 5, 6 of the 8 years he's done it. But I can. We were talking to Dan. He said, on paper they look unstoppable. I don't really see a hole other than the connectivity and the continuity that Mayhem has. That is their biggest strength as a team, is their ability to work together. How Scott's going to fit into that, only time will tell. But for right now, they look like the next 2020 Games champion.
Yeah.
They will be teammates eventually, but tonight, their adversaries are going head-to-head in 20.1 for the official announcement of the first workout of the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games season. Here's Kiki Dixon.
A lot of familiar faces here in Austin, Texas. We've got the athletes, we've got the judges, we've got the crowd. That's right, Austin, yeehaw. And now all we need is that workout. So, 20.1 is 10 rounds of 8 ground to overhead. Okay, I like that. And 10 bar facing burpees. The weight, 95 and 65 pounds. The time cap, 15 minutes. So 20.1 is 10 rounds of 8 ground to overhead, 10 bar-facing burpees, 95 and 65 pounds for the weight, with a 15-minute time cap. So, Rich, you've done a lot of these open workouts, open announcements. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
It's gonna suck.
Fair enough, fair enough. Already have some strategies in your head?
Not really. I think it's just pretty straightforward. Yeah, just grip and rip and jump over that bar. Get down and get up.
A sweet little couplet here for you, Panchik. What are you thinking? What do you like about this event?
I mean, I used to be a wrestler, so burpees are usually pretty good for me. I'm excited about falling down, standing up quickly, and hanging with this guy for the next 15 minutes.
Thanks, guys. You're free to go warm up. Now let's have some fun.
Thanks a lot, Kiki. So 15 minutes, 10 rounds of 8 ground to overhead, 95, 65, and 10 bar facing burpees. You guys are just hearing this, just like everybody else. We're going to think about it for a minute, and then get into it a little more in depth later. What first went through your head when you heard the whole workout?
100 bar-facing burpees.
Ooh, so why'd you have to do that math?
I know.
Oh, man.
I was hoping it's like, please be more. This is too short. It's going to hurt so bad.
Yeah, this is one of those workouts you look at, it's like, you could stop. But why would you?
Exactly.
Yeah, we know the men who will be competing. Let's meet one of the men who will be keeping them honest. Dan Bailey is with one of the judges, and I'm pretty sure you all are going to recognize this guy.
Thank you, Sean. I'm down here with Adrian Bosman. Boz, with this workout, let's hear it a little bit. Come on, Austin, we got Bosman. All right, with this workout, what are you expecting from the athletes? What are you looking for?
Well, I think they're going to be moving fast on that ground overhead, so I want to see a real clear lockout. And this year, we got to see a 2-foot takeoff on the burpee like we've done in the past, so that's important. And if they touch the bar on the way over from the burpee, they have to do the whole thing over again. So those are the big 3 I'm going to be focusing on from them.
Okay, little wrinkle we see in the workout. I took a look at your sheet after it was announced. The word ground to overhead. Can you do a little more explanation as to what that means for this workout?
Yeah, so in this workout, the athletes have a choice. They can do a snatch, they can do a clean and jerk. It's up to them, any style, to get that bar from the ground to the overhead lockout position. So I think with these guys, you're going to see them come out the gates hot with snatches. For the rest of us, I think it's going to be a little bit of a combination when we start to get tired.
And obviously, we've got 2 professionals down here, but are there any things that you go over with the athlete before we actually start the event?
Yeah, exactly what we talked about before. Just making sure that with a movement that's moving as fast as these guys are going to be doing here, that lockout position is solid every time, and that they're clearly getting over the bar on every burpee.
Thanks so much for the questions, Adrian. Sean, back up to you at the desk.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Boz. And Chuck Carswell will be the other judge, and guy with a ton of experience. Yeah, so everyone's going to be on their P's and Q's for this one. So you've had a little time now, just a couple minutes to think about this. Margot, I'll start with you. First off, what's the crux of this workout?
I mean, like I said earlier, 100 bar-facing burpees. I think it's going to be finding that pace from that first round and see if you can maintain that to the round 9, and then see if you can pick it up for that last round. Again, 100 bar-facing burpees, 80 ground to overhead. It's going to get spicy real quick.
This is straight pain cave.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And that's why I wanted to see more. I was like, okay, 8, 10. That would
12.
really suck if that was it. What's the 12? Please be Cal Row. Please, no, it's not Cal Row. That's just what this event is. And when you look at it, it's like for these athletes, unfortunately for them, it's not heavy enough for it to really be a slow grind-out event. It's 95 and 65. Yeah. It's power snatches, muscle snatches, grip and rip, and get over the bar. When you got someone like Rich and Scott going together, I mean, these guys are basically clones of each other in terms of height, weight, and ability.
Yeah, well, so let's get into that. Only 2 movements. Let's start with the bar facing, or start with the ground to overhead. Who has the advantage on that?
I mean, I would say Rich on that movement. Okay. He's very consistent in his movement. Barbell cycling, I mean, I would say he's almost the king of that. He's smooth, he's consistent. He's not going to go out super hot in the beginning. But again, whatever pace he has, he's going to be able to hold that to the very end versus dying off on other athletes.
Right.
I think 100% that's where Rich is going to get his advantage, because he's a majestic mover when it comes to a barbell, especially with snatches and muscle snatches. But I do believe that Scott has an advantage on the bar-facing burpees. Okay. When you think about 7 minutes of burpees, thank God that was not the event. I was really worried that's what it was going to be. But 7 minutes of burpees, Scott Panchik tied for the world's best score. I think it was 165 or something absurd to that nature. I'm talking about a wrestling background. He is not afraid to push the pace on the burpees, and that means they're not afraid of the barbell weight either. So it's going to be a good back and forth for 10 rounds.
All right, let's get into our workout predictions presented by Ramwad. No matter what the workout is, Ramwad can help you prepare for whatever comes next. Who do you like, Scott Panchik versus Rich Froning 20.1?
For this one, I'm going to take Rich.
Why?
Because I think even though Scott might have him on the burpees, that cycling of the reps is going to be in favor for him. And I think, again, consistency on being able to pace, Rich has that.
Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Scott.
Okay.
And not just because Margot picked that, it's because Scott is the new kid on the block in the Mayhem community. And if you've ever been a bro coming to a CrossFit gym for the first time, the only thing you want to go there is ball out in your first workout with your homeboys. So I can see Scott trying to do that today.
And remember, we talked about this earlier, though. Bar-facing burpees, they were really close in regionals that 1 year. It was a fantastic finish. All right, 20.1 is going to get us kicked off. It's the first workout of the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games season. Down to the floor, Kiki, let's get this going.
3, 2, 1, go. Ladies and gentlemen, it has begun.
It's 10 rounds of 8 ground to overhead, 95 for the men, 65 for the women, then 10 bar-facing burpees. This is round number 1 for both of the athletes. 15-minute time count.
What I really like to see right off the bat is the pace at which they came out. We said this was going to be fast, it's going to be dirty, but both Scott and Rich were actually doing a small power snatch. That means they're getting underneath the barbell at the top of the lift, as opposed to what I'm 100% sure what Travis Williams will be doing is a muscle snatch with zero technique. But this is not a really technique-dependent workout when you talk about the skill level. However, doing that power snatch and having that efficiency is going to pay off big towards the end rounds.
Both men now in round 2 of 10. we'll try to keep you updated on how much time has expired here in the event. Again, it's a 15-minute time cap. There's your game clock through now minute 11 and counting as Rich Froning and Scott Panchik going head-to-head. I think this is the first time we've seen Rich in an open announcement since 2015 when he went head-to-head with Matt Fraser, and that was in Boston.
It's been a while, and you know, something unique to this open announcement for both Rich and Scott is that these actually don't matter for them in terms of what they're doing this year. So, you know, going team, you don't qualify through the open anymore. You have to do it through a sanctioned event. But it's good to see Rich out there, especially with his new teammate Scott Panchik. But what I've noticed is that it's a little bit more of a conservative pace for these athletes than I thought I would see in the first couple of rounds. And I think you got to take notes when it comes to that, because like Margot said, 100 bar facing burpees. How about 80 snatches at 95 pounds? That's a big volume number for that weight.
Scott Panchik starting round 3 of 10, just ahead of Rich Froning as he gets to work on his third set of 8 ground to overhead with that 95-pound barbell. And now it's his third set of 10 bar facing burpees. So far it's Froning and Panchik neck and neck. And I mentioned this really quickly before we got into the event, but you were there again in 2014, and everyone, if you were a fan at that time, remembers the finish that these two had on their final burpee, jumping over onto the finish mat.
And it was Scott Panchik that actually ran Rich down when it was the bar facing burpees. It was strict handstand push-ups, front squats, and bar facing burpees, descending all the way down to 3 repetitions. But Scott's advantage for me in terms of his physical talent is the burpees. If you look at him on this next round of snatches, Scott's efficiency versus Rich Froning's efficiency on the barbell, it will add up as it moves on. Now, Scott has a 1-rep lead on Rich. Just look at the technique style. Rich has a very quick speed through the middle and lockout, where Scott is a bit more of that pull and push of the lockout. When we're talking about 80 reps at 95 pounds, I would like to see what that looks like in rounds 8, 9, and 10.
This is the 4th of 10 rounds, and both athletes are through their 8 ground to overhead. And as you heard Adrian Bosman say, if they hit any part of the barbell on the burpee, they have to do the whole thing over. It's not like they have to redo the jump.
Exactly. That's a big change this year, because if you hit the bar, you either pretended that you didn't hit the bar and kept doing burpees, or this time that extra burpee you did, now you have to do the complete thing and not the jump over.
Panchik and Froning neck and neck as they are now in round 5 of 10. Back to the barbell for 8 ground to overhead. 3 minutes, 30 seconds gone by, 15-minute time cap.
That wide stance that Scott has with his feet, and that's giving him the ability to not having to waste time moving his feet from start to finish in terms of the repetition. Rich is the same way, but he always has a traditional narrow stance when it comes to his lifting.
Panchik is done with that 5th set of 8 first, just slightly ahead of Rich Froning, but this was basically the case in the last round, and Froning was able to catch him on the burpees as the two are still neck and neck as we are now through 4 of the 15 minutes in this 10-round workout.
Hey, think about the caliber of athletes trying to qualify for the CrossFit Games out of the Open, because that is now what the Open stands for. It stands for the top 20 worldwide overall international champions. When you're talking about those caliber of athletes, it's not the snatches that's going to separate the two. It is going to be the burpees. They just take longer to do, and they're more demanding on the body.
As Panchik is now starting round 6, and he's opened up a little bit of a lead on Rich Froning. 6 of 10 rounds for Panchik. Now Panchik has got a good chunk of that set of 8 done, and now Froning just on the right of your screen, you can see his barbell moving, getting to the barbell after Panchik. Now Scott Panchik with a lead, a good lead here in round 6.
Now Rich's bar is moving, but it's also moving very well counter to what Scott's is. Now Scott's isn't moving bad. It's just, you know, when you're standing next to Rich Froning, what are you supposed to say? The thing that Scott's making his hay on is these burpees over the bar. Now the one difference between that last set, though Scott got about a 7-rep lead on Rich, is that Rich stopped the chalk to get set for his snatches. Scott hasn't done that yet, and it's gonna come unless those sweatbands are serving their purpose like they should be. But it's Texas, it's hot, it's getting sweaty, so Scott might lose time if he ever has to go back to the chalk like Rich did.
Scott Panchik now into round 7 of 10 as we approach the 5.5-minute mark, so neither one of these men are even gonna be remotely in danger of getting time cap. That time cap again is 15 minutes. And now Froning getting started on his 7th round. So Panchik maintaining his lead here in round 7. Panchik now to his 7th set of 10 bar-facing burpees. When he's done, he will have completed 70 of these. We're not even done yet.
And it's only been 6 minutes when you're looking at the clock. And this is, like I said before, if you want to win the event or you want to do the best you can, it's going to be during the burpees. You want to be smooth and efficient on your bar. And listen, they're doing power snatches. You can do clean and jerks. If this weight is too heavy for you to muscle snatch or power snatch, if you hang on to the bar at least and never put it down, clean and jerks is an easier movement to do. So when it comes down to the burpees and you're getting tired, don't be afraid to switch it over to that other movement.
Yeah. We're into round 8 number now as Scott Panchik still maintaining that lead over Rich Froning. Froning has just finished round 7, chalking his hands, and he'll get to the barbell to start his 8th set of 8 ground to overhead as Scott Panchik has basically been on the same pace throughout this entire workout, and now his 8th set of 10 bar-facing burpees, approaching the 7-minute mark, so not even halfway to the time cap yet.
The one thing I do like that they brought back, they had gotten rid of about 2 years ago, is the step up from the bottom of the burpee. You have no idea how much easier that makes the movement to do. And so being able to lay down and step up from the bottom, a lot of people don't know how to do actually that technique. It seems very simple when you look at it, and it is. But the technique, if you look at Scott on the left, is to hit your chest to the floor and step towards the bar right from the bottom, as opposed to try to jump up and then step.
2 rounds remain for Scott Panchik. He is now in round 9 of 10. And he grabbed this lead in round 6, and he's been able to maintain it so far. Is it really wise to beat your boss?
Well, I mean, no. Short answer.
CrossFit Mayhem may be looking for another teammate after this event.
Like, congratulations, I'll see you never.
Panchik into his 9th round of burpees as Rich Froning is still on the barbell here in round number 9 as we now have 8 minutes past 20.1. Panchik looking to close out round number 9, 5 reps to go. Adrian Bosman on the left of your screen, his judge.
And Sean, like you were saying earlier, it's just the tempo of Scott Panchik. It's not a manic pace, it's not a sprint. Rich is still moving very well, but when we're talking about 100 burpees, that's when halves of seconds matter. You put that all together, that's a 30, 45-second advantage by just moving a little faster on the burpees.
Final round for Scott Panchik as he looks to take home bragging rights over his teammate, Rich Froning, as the two of them will be half of the CrossFit Mayhem team that will look to win yet another CrossFit Games championship where they eventually get themselves to Madison. 10 more burpees remain for Scott Panchik. Panchik can see the finish line now as Rich Froning is on the barbell for round 10. 1 for Panchik, and he's going to take 20.1.
Sean, I am sweating profusely out of the nervousness that I now feel after watching this event.
Do you think they're both driving home together?
It's either that or, I tell you what, if the guys had to do it, guess what the girls are going to be doing on Friday?
Exactly. Rich Froning looking to close things out as he's trying to get inside of 10 minutes. Again, it was a 15-minute time cap, 10 rounds, 8 ground to overhead at 95 pounds for the men, 65 for the women, and 10 bar-facing burpees. You don't see this a lot right here. Someone cheering Rich Froning through a workout. And now Froning is done. So competitors no more. They are now teammates from here on out. But 20.1, if that's what these guys are feeling going through it, imagine what the rest of us are going to be feeling like.
I wish that time cap was 5 minutes slower. That's what I wish.
Less suffering. So Scott Panchik and Rich Froning, I think, giving the crowd a good battle here. Now discussing some strategy, but it was Panchik, again, who grabbed that lead in round 6. we'll have the final score and the official time. We'll have that after the break. We're getting that officially tabulated for you, but we do know that Scott Panchik does best Rich Froning. The Rogue Legends series is a documentary series that celebrates the stories of the men and women who shaped strength history. Chapter 4 is coming out now as soon, and here's a trailer for Chapter 4 of that series, Sanduina. Back with more after the break.
When we talk about people as legends, we have mythic legends from the distant past. Babe Ruth is clearly a legend in baseball. And in our own field, in strength, whether it's weightlifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding, as we go forward, we discover that there are people whose stories transcend their time. I think in Sanduina's case, she is clearly the most significant woman figure from the past.
Katie was normally advertised as the strongest and most beautiful woman on earth. When she was young, all accounts are is that she very quickly was stronger than the boys her age and stronger than young men her age. And the more she trained, the stronger she got.
She's not faking it. She is actually lifting 2 guys.
So the story that introduced me to Katie Sanduina was at her size, she would actually, pick her husband up and press him overhead. And besides the fact that that's just cool, trying to maximize overhead press is one of the things that I'm constantly trying to work on and having this conversation of what's really possible. Can a woman do a body weight or above dumbbell press? Because of what she did, that kind of set a marker that was possible.
Her son, Teddy, a big man, weighed over 200 pounds. There's a wonderful photograph of her holding him over her head with one hand. No tricks, and it seemed to have been casually done.
At a certain point, she and Max bought a bar and restaurant in Queens. Max did the cooking at the restaurant, and Katie tended the bar. She was also supposedly the bouncer. She would sort of pick up some small guy and throw him outside if there was trouble.
There's a beauty in strength, and there's a beauty in being able to express yourself as who you are. And Sanduina, if she emphasized that part of her character and that part of her appearance, then instead of people turning away in horror, they would actually start to respect her.
And her multiple achievements in the circus, demonstrating her strength over this long, long period of years, makes her, I think, a figure who really does reserve our respect and our admiration. And I also think she's kind of a great role model for us.
She was indeed one of life's true wonders.
The Rogue Iron Game from Austin, Texas is brought to you by GoRuck. GoRuck, founded by a Green Beret, is pioneering rucking as a fitness activity. Ramwad, range of motion, workout of the day. Check out ramwad.com for more info. And Rogue, don't weaken. Back here at the Rogue Iron Game desk, we have just seen Scott Panchik best Rich Froning in the 20.1 live open announcement. Margot Alvarez back here with Chase Ingram. What'd you think of that? It was a pretty good battle. I mean, you picked Rich, you picked Scott, so we're going to check out the big brain on Chase.
I know. No, I think they did a great battle. I think it came down to the burpees. Yeah. Scott just being able to rebound, have that chest hit the floor, right back up again out of that rep for rep. 100 reps. Scott took it obviously there, but I think it was a great battle.
It's kind of what I thought going in terms of what this workout was going to end up being like, seeing like, and feeling like. It's just from start to finish, just a grinder, pain cave, as Bill Grundler likes to put, an acid bath style type event where there's just no escape. There's no escape from the snatches. You can do snatches, you can do ground overhead, and the burpees are just going to crush everybody.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at how it all went down. And again, it was, like you mentioned, the burpees and Scott Panchik, and they were even for about half of the workout. Then in round 6, that's where Panchik was really able to kind of step on the gas and separate himself. He built the lead and he was able to keep it.
And he did it with transitions from burpees to bar and how well he paced his burpees from start to finish. The big deal here is that it's the burpee pace. A rep for a burpee takes about twice as long as a rep for a snatch.
Agreed.
Right? So the benefit there is actually in the movement that takes longer to do is where you want to put the most time and effort in, and that's what Scott did.
Yeah, I think, again, like cycling his reps, being able to rebound from the floor is going to be really important. That transition time from the bar to the floor is important. If you take an extra breath or hang out there, bend over, it's going to, again, add shock. It's going to add time. The biggest thing is be that transition from that one movement to the next and being able to cycle through that reps and cycle through those rounds as fast as possible.
Got Panchik by about 40 seconds over Rich Froning. Let's send it down to the competition floor. Dan Bailey standing by with Scott Panchik and Rich Froning.
Thanks, Sean. I'm down here with Rich and Scott just after they finish the workout. Guys, one big question I'm sure is on everybody's mind. When does the workout get real? When does it start to set in?
It set in right around round 2 or 3, believe it or not.
Yeah. For you, Rich?
Agreed. Yeah, it was bad from about 2 on. 2 seconds to go on, yeah.
Between the two movements, the ground to overhead and the burpees, which one did you guys put more emphasis on as you were marching through the rounds?
I was just trying to survive both, really. Just try to hang on to that bar while I was snatching and then just try to move on the burpees.
Yeah, I was just trying to think about being smooth and then having quick transitions to pick up the bar.
Any other advice to those at home who are about to do this tonight or they're about to do it tomorrow, this weekend? What would you guys have to say to them?
I would tell you to maybe pick one of the movements to try to move on and the other one to try to recover on. So if it's the barbell, take a little breather before you pick it up. If it's the burpees, maybe step up and extend and get some air.
Yeah, I think for sure it's minimize your transitions. You know, Scott was a lot quicker getting back to the bar, maybe slow it a little bit down on the burpees, but get back to that barbell quick.
Now, this was your guys' first time going back head-to-head with each other for a while. What was that like under this atmosphere, under a CrossFit Games open workout? How did it feel to get back at each other a little bit in some competition?
It was like a flashback. I think the first few rounds we were pretty synchro, and I was like, oh man, this is going to hurt way worse than doing it at home by myself.
Yeah, he kicked my butt, so it was fun. It's fun to be out here. The crowd was great. Everybody was energetic. Gave you that extra little boost. Every time you wanted to stop, they'd start cheering, so it was good. It was fun.
That's great, guys. It was fun to watch. Sean, back up to you.
Thank you, Dan, and we certainly appreciate Scott Panchik and Rich Froning for putting it all out there for our enjoyment tonight. A whole bunch of people now are going to go after 20.1. I mean, look, spots on the games are on the line here. This is a big workout. Who do you think are some names on the men's side who are going to smash this thing?
I think off the bat, obviously you got to throw Matt's name out there because there's really nothing here that's going to trip him up. Noah Olson is another one of those guys who's very proficient in snatching, has one of those grinder-style type mentalities. But I want to say Roman Karenikov might be one of those athletes that you haven't thought about. And that guy is a bulldog of an athlete. Like, he will put his nose down and he will go as hard as he can. So I think Roman Karenikov might have one of the best times here in 2020.
All right. What about on the women's side?
I would say for the women, Tia Claire Toomey and Kristen Holte, those are the two names that kind of pop out in my mind. I think some athletes that would do really well would be Carrie Pierce.
Yeah.
Again, that cycle time, being obviously efficient on the snatch and efficient on the burpee. I just think those three names are kind of the three that pop out, and I can see those women going head-to-head on that.
Good call on Pierce and Karenikov. I think, definitely keep an eye out for them. That's going to do it. We are now officially underway here on the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games season. I want to thank our sponsors, Yeti, Froning Farms, and Erosti for helping us put on this event. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Rogue Iron Game. Of course, I want to thank Dan Bailey, Margot Alvarez, and Chase Ingram. Everybody out there on the truck working hard to bring you these great pictures and all the video that we showed you tonight. Have fun with 20.1. Have a great time in the open. That's it. We will see you next time. For Dan Bailey, Margot Alvarez, Chase Ingram, and our entire crew here, I'm Sean Woodland. We'll see you again on the Rogue Iron Game.